3, 2, 1.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Commissioner Cooper, and it's time for TSS Fantasy. Boom. That's what it is. Boom. Yeah. Boom. That's what it is. Boom. Yeah.
Fantasy Jesus. Boom. I'm here to save your fantasy roster. Boom. Fantasy Jesus. Well, it worked for The Rock and it's going to work for me.
Yeah. Boom. TSS Fantasy. Boom. Yeah. TSS Fantasy. Boom.
And you just got flandered.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Commissioner Cooper, and it's time for TSS Fantasy.
And you just got flandered.
That's what it is. Boom. Yeah. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Commissioner Cooper, and it's time for TSS Fantasy.
Where's he at? Where's he at?
Yeah. He's in New York. He's traveling up there. I think
No,
he's going to be.
I know.
Yeah, he's going to run around and be Santa in New York. It's going to be great. All right, so let's get things started. We got a great show tonight with some great guests in the house. Let's start with the introductions first. We'll start with our guests tonight. They of course, are the guests. J.B. Berry, welcome in, the fantasy coach. Welcome into the studio, my friend.
Appreciate it, man. Happy to be here. I always love watching this show. You guys are so high energy. I love the invites. I appreciate you having me on here. Looking forward to having some fun tonight.
We appreciate you being on. This is going to be fun. That I can promise you. Let's also welcome into the building. He's not even a guest anymore. Basically a permanent fixture on Friday nights. Jordan, Truth Serum Football. Welcome into the building, my friend.
Hey, man, pleasure as always. Welcome, JB, and I hope you have fun losing because that's what's going to happen tonight.
Little smack talk.
Not for nothing, though. It's kind of like I'm facing a guy who's, like, not even a guest, like you said. Like, he's on this every week. Like, he knows how to play this game. But you know what?
I do.
I'm a game show veteran, all right? I was on Match Game with Alec Baldwin, and I won 25 grand. So I'm coming for you, bro.
Okay, watch out now. Watch out. I think
I'm
Jordan
a little
might be in
scared
trouble
now.
tonight. Yeah, you think he might be shaking in his boots a little. All right, let's also welcome into the studio Justin. I guess it's Jesus Herrera. Welcome into the studio.
Yeah, it's only Jesus if you speak Portuguese. But it sounds like JB is coming with the heat, my friend.
Woo!
He's coming for Jordan's spot on the Friday show over here.
Ooh-wee.
He said, Jordan, I got that game show experience.
We'll see.
Oh man, this is why I love TSS Fantasy, because all the Friday night vibes, it makes me feel like I'm going out, man, because I got all this energy with my bros. Oh man. Well, if you're as exhausted as I am, you might as well turn on your phone right now and check out TSSFantasy.com, because we got all the rankings, we've got all the merch. You know you want to get on there, you know you want to check it out, because it's playoffs weeks, guys. Playoff week. Playoffs? Who's talking about playoffs? I'm talking about playoffs because I know our fans are in the playoffs. They've been taking our advice all season long. So stick with it and we'll get you to your championship.
Indeed. Let's also welcome to the studio, Nick. You got flandered Macaronis.
Yeah, it is playoffs, and we are high energy. Keyword is on high for some of us. So, speaking of high, right? High. Speaking of high, what we're going to do for you is we're going to get you money high by going to underdogfantasy.com and putting in that keyword TSS, and we're going to double your deposit up to $100 so you can spend that Christmas dough on your loved ones. Or me. Just buy it on me.
Indeed. And you know what we also have for the people? We also have.
Oh, no. Here it comes.
He's not
Here
here.
it comes.
But it's a sack. He's got a sack. That's all I'm going to say.
It's nice and sweaty.
It's here for you, the sweaty sack. Come get it. Hit the subscribe button. Let's check it out.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. With the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the happiest season of all.
Nobody does the holidays like TSS Fantasy. We have a signed Chris Johnson jersey, a signed Andre Reed jersey,
What?
a signed Damian Harris jersey,
What?
a signed Jamison Williams jersey,
What?
and a
What?
signed Jerry Judy helmet. Hit the subscribe button. Get your sack today. Get on it. You got to check it out. Colts Martin checking in. Said, looking good, guys. My dude Jordan looks good too, I guess. I guess it's that T-shirt that you and Justin, I think, shop at the same place. Double for
I love kitties.
I'm sure you do.
Fourth and Flex bringing
How was
his
the movie?
flex starts of the week a little bit later. And he said, y'all think Barkley hits up Watson for a good massage therapist for that sore neck in time for the game? Okay. I hope not. And all right, hey, Spicy Raider Girl is in the house for life.
Yay.
Our Raider story. We appreciate you guys. What is up to you? Go hit the subscribe button, follow, especially if you're a Raiders fan. Nick saying,
All four
Sorry
of you
about that,
left.
Spicy.
Nick-
That was
Nick-
uncalled for, Spicy.
Nick gets a little excited. Nick gets a little excited when the Spicy Raider Girl chimes in.
We need to have her back on. She was fun. And I gotta
I
ask
know.
her, what the hell
You've
happened?
You've mentioned that multiple times, by the way. Yeah, we do
Mul-
these.
Once. One time.
A couple times now.
One time.
Actually, this is twice. now,
Guys, we're
so,
talking
all
way
right.
too much about the Raiders. Way too
Well,
much
speaking-
about the Raiders.
Speaking of the Raiders, there was a little bit of a game last night. We got a little bit of news. Let's go ahead and start with it. She wanted to chime in and say it has been a rough season indeed. Happy to come back on any time. All right, we will definitely set that up. We got to look at the schedule. We're going to set something up for sure. We definitely enjoyed having you in, especially Nick. All right, so let's get on last night. The Raiders and the Rams.
Wow. The
What
hits
a
just
game.
keep on coming around here, I'll tell you what.
What a game last night, though. Let's be real. I'll be honest with you. I was sitting there. We were watching the game. And, you know, I have a little projector screen on the right. So that way, if she's watching one of those Christmas movies, I can play PlayStation or something. So I was like, all right, I'm going to put the game on the projector and we're going to watch a movie or something. So I'm watching a movie, not paying attention. I mean, all of a sudden, I just could not believe what I was watching. What a crazy, crazy game last night. And a game that we thought was just going to be completely Boresville. Turned out to be an awesome, fun game for sure. Let's just kick it around the room. I don't want to talk about the stats too much because we'll be on it all night. But obviously, if you started some of those Raiders and were expecting some big points, you were sadly mistaken, unless it was Josh Jacobs, who put in an okay night. But again, he hurt in the game. So we'll have to talk about that a little bit too with the doc. All right, let's get it started. Justin, real quick, do you want to give me your thoughts on last night's game? Just give me your thoughts, at least from the Rams perspective. What do you think of that for
From
Baker
the Rams
Mayfield?
perspective. From the Rams perspective. Well, I'll tell you what. Baker Mayfield, for what it's worth, he made Van Jefferson and Ben Skowronek look good. And I'll tell you what. It doesn't take much with that Raiders defense because Jesus fucking Christ, you are playing behind on your man coverage and you've been beat all day long. Can you put a safety over him? Hello, can we do something here on defense? And second off, I just want to put this out there in the ether. Josh McDaniels, you have no right to a job. Go back to Bill Belichick because that's the only way you will ever find another job in this league again. You suck.
Yeah.
You are terrible.
Yeah, that's not the Rams perspective, but I do have to say you are correct. I don't see how this guy can even coach anymore after what happened last night. That's just wow bad. How about you, Jordan? What did you think of last night's game?
So I've never seen anybody get as excited about 230 yards, 1 touchdown, and 59.8 quarterback rating as we did Baker Mayfield last night. But good on him, and way to get that W. And, special shout out to my boy Dylan Carlson in the Trenches League, delivering ×3 last night against you, Commissioner Cooper.
That's okay.
It's Daniel Carlson. Get the man's name right. He got you.
Yeah,
41
my bad.
points.
Okay.
I've got 7 kickers. I get them
Okay.
confused.
It's okay. I might have set him up tonight in Fantasy Feud, though. So we're going to see who gets the last laugh this week. Albert, what's up? Appreciate you being in, my friend. I'm going to look at Bandy also chime in. One day you're going to want, I'm rooting for you, Al. All right, JB, what'd you think of last night's game?
I mean, it was boring for the most part until that final drive, but I got to give a shout out to my guy, Raheem Morris. I mean, that defense missing their top playmaker with Jalen Ramsey, who's not really Jalen Ramsey anymore. Like Raheem Morris, so the Raiders scored 13 points, dumb quick, first 3 drives, right? And then he shut them down. Like Raheem Morris is doing a job with that defense, and he deserves another shot at a head coaching gig. He wasn't ready for it when he got it with the Bucs. I mean, he wasn't even a coordinator at that point, but now he's worked his way up. He's learned what he needed to learn, and I think he's ready for another shot. But even if he doesn't get it, he's a hell of a defensive coordinator. So shout out to Raheem Morris.
Indeed. Nick, you want to give a shout out to Baker?
I didn't even watch the game. So because that game, the matchup was so damn pathetic. And so all I know is you don't even need the playbook to play against a Josh McDaniels-led team. The Raiders will forever be the most undisciplined, what a craptastic team that there ever was. Exactly. He should never be a head coach anywhere. Send him back to Canton and coach Pop Warner. They're lousy. It was a boring game. I'm glad I didn't waste my 3 hours on it. And let's move on to better things.
All righty. Well, speaking of better things, week 14 is going to be very exciting indeed, but some players might not make it through. We'll talk about that on Sunday more with Brian. But just to bring some things up, Trevor Lawrence still questionable. Saquon Barkley still questionable with his neck injury that came out of nowhere. Amari Cooper has popped up as well as questionable with a hip injury. And the Seahawks backfield has become like a crazy conundrum with Kenneth Walker looking like not to go. Neither DJ Dallas. So probably Travis Homer might be your lone man up. So if you're looking for someone to flex this weekend and you got a nice little spot and he's out there on your waiver wire, definitely go scoop him up. Michael Carter back at practice, looks like to be back. Tough matchup with Buffalo this week, but just something to take note of as well. Jalen Waddle also looks like he is a full go. But again, we'll talk about a little more about injuries and some other guys on Sunday morning, so make sure you wake up with TSS. All right, look, we're going to get to the breakdown. It's Friday night. Let's get the dancing shoes on. Let's break it down. All right, let's get this thing started. Justin, we're going to start with you with a used to be very cool rivalry, but I don't know what it's going to look like this weekend. Ravens at the Steelers. Ravens, defensively, they're 21st against fantasy QBs, 6th against running backs, 26th against receivers, and 14th versus tight ends. Steelers, 24th against QBs, 13th versus running backs, 30th versus receivers, and 15th versus tight ends. Tell us some guys you like and don't like.
Yeah, how the mighty have fallen, and this rivalry is kind of just falling off a cliff as well. So this is really a game of, guys that were backup quarterbacks going into the season, guys that were, not so big name wide receivers. It's weird because you look at the Steelers and you think, oh, they should be the 8-4 team just based off of what you know from their roster. But Jesus Christ, the Ravens, more power to you on defense and just overall schematically, because they are 8-4 and I don't know how. No Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley. I actually like the matchup. He completed 84% of his passes last week. As long as he's a rushing quarterback, he has the chance and the option to cash in every single week. Obviously, the Steelers' defense is not the greatest against quarterbacks, really not the greatest overall. So I will definitely put Tyler Huntley in a week where we're missing 6 quarterbacks. I will definitely put Tyler Huntley as somebody I want to get in on a super flex, and even in some like single QB leagues if I am hurting at quarterback this week. Dobbins and Edwards want no part of it. Edwards cashed in on a whole 6 carries last week. No, ew, get away from me. Dobbins has not proven anything since his rookie year. So, yeah, get away. Duvernay and Robinson. They might have a brace handy just on the sideline just for him. Duvernay and Robinson, very interesting targets considering, like I said, we have 6 teams on a bye. When I look at this, I'm like, both got around 7 targets last week. I kind of like Duvernay a little bit more. He's a little bit more of an explosive guy, more chances of a big touchdown from him. Demarcus Robinson, he had that one big week and then he kind of just got shut down. So I'm gonna pass on Robinson and I'll say Duvernay's a low end flex. Mark Andrews, start him up. Kenny Pickett, pass on him. He's just not passing enough. He's not throwing enough yardage wise. He only has 3 games over 200. Najee, pass it up. 4 games in the top 24. Johnson, Pickens. I'll take Pickens. Pickens has 5 matchups where he's been finished in the top 24. Johnson only has 1. That's weird. He's been one of the most foolproof wide receivers the past couple years. And then Freiermuth, I always love Freiermuth. Lock him in. 7 targets in the last 5 games. How can you beat that?
Deontay Johnson actually is dealing with an injury also, and I forgot to bring him up, so he might be questionable also going into this weekend, which makes Pickens a very good play indeed. By the way, here's our prognostication skills. I forgot to bring this up. This is all what we got last night, by the way. I just think I brought that up.
For the last 15 seconds of that game, it was looking great too, and then it just fucking went straight to shit.
Boy, dude, we know our football, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's go to our guest, JB Barry. He may know more than we do. Let's go Jets at Bills. This is a fun one this weekend. Jets are 8th versus fantasy QBs, 14th versus running backs, 4th versus fantasy receivers, and 13th versus tight ends. On the Bills side, 7th versus QBs, 11th versus running backs, 20th versus receivers, and 7th versus tight ends. What say you guys you like and don't like?
So that stat about the defenses is really the telltale sign, right? You got 2 good defenses here, and it makes this a tricky game to play. But Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, they're always in play. I really can't wait to see Diggs up against these Jets corners because Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed have both been playing really well. And they love a good challenge. Like, you could tell they step up, and they're getting it in back-to-back weeks. So I don't like Gabe Davis in the matchup, and Dawson Knox has kind of turned into a ghost. Like, you don't even know where he went. So I will say Isaiah McKenzie might be worth the flyer out of the slot because he probably won't see those 2 outside corners. So if they're shutting down the outside receivers or kind of containing Diggs, then you might take a shot on Isaiah McKenzie. I do like James Cook a lot. He led the Bills in rushing last week, and he was used as a pass catching back out of the backfield. So if this is a cold, snowy game, and it could be the first real snow game we see, I think him and Singletary are both in the mix, and I think they go pretty run-heavy in this matchup, and it'll be a lowish-scoring game. So I'd call Cook like a low-end RB2 with the pass-catching ability, and Singletary's still a possible flex, I think. And on the Jets side, I'm not touching Mike White against Buffalo. I'm not going to touch the backfield with Michael Carter back, and Bam Knight probably not going to lose, his touch on the backfield, so it'll be a shared backfield against a good defense. So I'm out on that. No, thank you. I will play Garrett Wilson. I mean, he's been great. He's a wide receiver too. So if they're playing from behind, they should be throwing a lot. So I think he'll get the volume enough to produce in this game. I can't trust Elijah Moore or any other pass catcher for that matter. So really it's Allen, Diggs, Wilson, James Cook, maybe a dart on Isaiah McKenzie.
All right. I like it. BXB Videos, thanks for chiming in. He thinks you had some great points indeed. And look, we got somebody who wants to promote us. Look at all this. This is wonderful. Really appreciate you, Don Vuitton. Whatever. Appreciate all that.
Don Vuitton.
ZPA,
Oh,
baby.
Don Vuitton. Oh, all right. Let's go to our friend Nick Macaronis, Flanders. Let's go to this Vikings at Lions matchup, which is going to be pretty exciting, I think, fantasy-wise. You got the Vikings defense are 26 versus fantasy QBs, 22nd versus running backs, 31st against receivers, and 24th versus tight ends. On the Lions side, dead last against QBs, 10th against running backs, 28th against receivers, and 28th versus tight ends. Give me guys you like and don't like.
Yeah, I just picked out a few of them because other than talk about all the regulars that you're going to play, I'm going to just go for the deep dives. So you're going to play Kirk Cousins. He's 14th on the year, 16.5. You're going to stream him, okay? In his last 3, he got 2.2 against Dallas, 22.9 against New England, and 11.8 against the Jets. He's a streamer, especially if you're in a super flex. So keep that in mind. Jared Goff, pretty much the same thing. He averages 16.1 on the year. His last 3 was a 6.5 against the Giants, 17.6 on the Bills, and 21.6 on the Jags. So again, he is going to be a super flex streamer. I would not put your hopes, your playoff dreams, if you're starting Jared Goff. I just wouldn't do it. He's great in the first half at home, and he's crap in the second half. And look at the tape. Dalvin Cook, start. I just learned today that Jamal Williams, he's the overall NFL touchdown leader with 14. That's receivers and running backs. So you starting him. All right. He's number 12 overall, 14 points. His last 3 games, 24.5, 10.5, and 9.5. He's on the downslide. However, he does have 5 TDs in those last 3 games. So you're going to start him, and you're going to start DeAndre Swift. The other guy for Minnesota, Hawkinson, as the waste baron of the tight end realm is. His last 3, he got 3.4. A 10.3 and a 3.3 with one TD, and he's a top 12, believe it or not, with those crappy ass numbers. So those are who are going to start in this game. Besides all the fat, we're going to get down to the nitty gritty there. Start them.
Remember that time Nick said he was just going to name some deep dives, and they named people like Dalvin Cook and Jamal Williams. Hey, listen, real quick though. I have an interesting question for you. If you had a choice, and I know Nick's answer already, but if you had a choice, Justin, I'll go to you, between Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff, who do you go with this week?
Kirk Cousins, softer defense.
Jordan?
I go with Kirk Cousins, but I think about it pretty long and hard.
What about you, JB?
Jared Goff, and I'll tell you why a little bit later in the show.
All right, gotta like it. BXB Video says start everyone, got it. Yeah, I feel you. That's what we say on that matchup. All right, Jordan, let's go to you. Browns at Bengals, the Battle of Ohio was our big game Wednesday, which was a lot of fun. QB wise, the Browns are 11th versus QBs, 31st versus running backs, or 13th versus receivers, and 6th versus tight ends. Bengals 6th versus QBs, 16th versus running backs, 5th versus receivers, and 18th versus tight ends. So give me some guys you like and don't like.
So obviously you start Nick Chubb. He didn't have the best game last week, but you still start him every week. Kareem Hunt actually got a little bit more involved for the first time. So looking to hopefully build on that momentum. I'm really cautious about Amari Cooper this week. He's banged up. He may or may not play. And if he does, he's, historically terrible on the road. So I'm probably looking for every reason to not start Amari Cooper this week in my lineups. Kind of the same with Deshaun Watson. I'd really like to see another game or two. I'd like to see him get in rhythm before I bank on the upside of him. Other side of the ball, you're starting Joe Burrow every week, even though Joe Burrow is actually winless in his career against the Cleveland Browns. So I'm dialing up Jamar Chase. I'm dialing up T. Higgins. I'm also considering Tyler Boyd. He probably dropped the easiest touchdown pass of his life last week. I could see them running right back to that same play and getting him in the end zone. So I'm probably starting Tyler Boyd as well.
Yep, I like it. Indeed, Tyler Boyd needs to show up at some point this season. This is a good game for him to do it. All right, gentlemen, excuse me. It's time for the main event, what we all came to see. It's time for Fantasy Feud. Let's get it on. Brad?
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson. It's going to be a long game. It's not going to be a long game tonight because we got fantasy experts in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start with round one, and the rules are simple. There are none. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have a buzzer, so as I say the question, if you know the answer, just say your name aloud, and then if you say your name first, you will get the first chance to respond. If you get it correct, you can close out the category. If you get 3 strikes, the other person gets a chance to steal it. Everybody ready? Let's begin. All right, top 5 answers on the board. Here is your first question. Going back to last week, I'm going in the quarterback position. I'm looking for the top 5 QBs from last week, fantasy point wise.
JB. Joe Burrow.
I hit the wrong button. That's my
Shot.
That was on me. My bad. Joe Burrow's number 2 on this list, 30.4. All right. Who else? You got control, my friend. Who else you got?
Josh Allen.
We got, oh, my bad. Good luck, Jordan. Represent the 479. He won. It's all right. So Josh Allen. Now that one I hit correctly. All right. He is not on this list. You got number 2 and you got only 1 strike.
Dak Prescott.
Not on this list neither, my friend. You got a lot of meat on this bone. You got the number 2 with Joe Burrow. You got a lot remaining.
Pat Mahomes?
Patrick Mahomes.
I have never heard someone say so many wrong things, one after the other, consecutively in a row.
Ooh, a tough first round. There's a lot of meat on this bone, my friend Jordan. Are you going to be able to steal it here? You got a nibble? Who you got?
I think so. I got my boy helmet back here. Let's go with Jalen Hurts.
Jordan's going to steal round 1. That's the number 1 answer for this week. He had 34.4 points. He was number 1 on this list. A guess from our boy, 4th and Flex, Jared Goff. He is number 4 on this list, so you were correct. 21.6. Geno Smith was 3rd at 23.98. And number 5, they had Justin Fields with 21.3 on the list. So congratulations on that first round, my friend. Let's go into round number 2. We're going to go into running backs. But we're not going to go into last week. We're going to go all season. I'm going to switch things up a little bit, maybe get you on your feels a little bit. But we're going to go into the red zone. So we're going to go top 5 answers on the board. Here is your question. I'm looking for the top 5 rush yard leaders inside the red zone for the entire season.
Jordan,
who you got?
Jamal Williams.
I guess 1 yard runs don't add up.
Exactly. JB, what you got?
I'll go Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs is number 4 on this list. He has 110 yards inside the 20.
Okay. Let's go Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler. He's number 5 on the list this list with 101.
I thought he'd be higher. Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley. Not on the list. You still got number 1, number 2, and number 3 available.
I don't know if he started long enough, but he gets plenty of red zone work. So I'm going to go Ken Walker.
Kenneth Walker.
Okay.
He is your father. Kenneth Walker's number 1 on the season, 137 yards in the red zone.
And he didn't even start the whole year.
How about that? Unbelievable. All right, so you still got number 2 and number 3, and you only have 1 strike.
Trying to think who else is the red zone guy. Etienne?
Travis Etienne. Ooh, he's number 2 on the list, 125 yards. All you're missing is number 3, and you only have 1 strike.
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. Albert in the comments also guessed it, and he also guessed Josh Jacobs as well. So you were 1 for 1, Albert. Good job. All right, number 3 is remaining. You got 1 strike left.
It's not going to be an obvious one. Miles Sanders. Nope. Miles Sanders. I was going to say David Montgomery, but he was injured.
Miles Sanders. Wow, just swept around. Great job there. Miles Sanders, 117 yards inside the 20 all season. Great job.
Almost said Montgomery there too, but he was injured for a couple games.
I won't lie. If you had said Montgomery, I literally, you would have said everything I would have said, so I would have went Sanders. So, damn.
That
Go
was
with
big.
the eagle at the end. It never fails.
That was big time right there. All right, let's get to round number 3. We're going to go to the receiver position, and we're going to go all season again. We're not going to go into last week. This is all season long, so get that all season long hat on. Here goes. Top 5 answers on the board. I'm looking for most touchdown catches from a receiver inside the red zone.
Jordan.
JP.
Jordan, go ahead. You're first.
Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs. He's number 2 on this list. Well, he's tied number 1, basically. But I don't know. I have number 2. He's tied number 1 with 7. You got control, my friend. What else you got?
Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk. Exactly who he's tied with at number 1 with 7.
Amari Cooper.
Amari hanging with Mr. Cooper. He is tied at, he's number 3, tied with 6.
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill from America's team.
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson. Got 2 remaining, number 3 and number 5, and 1 strike left.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon St. Brown. He is tied with Cooper with 6. So you got number 5 remaining.
A.J. Brown.
A.J.
Save that
Brown.
eagle for last.
Downtown.
Oh, hell no!
Waddle is a no, and Devonta Adams also a no.
Hey,
for
he
Al
hasn't guessed yet. Hold
I
on,
know
what are
who
you
it
doing?
is.
Oh shit, my bad. That's right, my bad. Sorry about that. All right, who do you got? You know who it is?
I know who it is because you said that the guys were tied with 6, and I was doing my DFS research, and I was putting this guy in as my flex, and I was looking at his red zone percentage, and he has 5 red zone touchdowns, and that's San Francisco 49er, Brandon Ayuk.
Coming with the big boy pants tonight. He's up 2-1. Wow, boy, that was a great snag. Miles Sanders, or excuse me, Brandon Ayuk, yes. With number 5 on the list with number 5. All right.
That was perfect because it was part of my DFS research yesterday.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. 2-1, and I got one just for Jordan for this next one. This is for round number 4. Top 5 answers on the board. I'm going again for the whole season long, and I'm looking for the top 5 kickers in fantasy.
JB,
who you got?
Tyler Bass.
Tyler Bass. He's number 1 with 120. All right, who else you got?
Just remember, I co-host a show with Lindellians, who's the kicker guru. So we have to hear about kickers in the group chat like all the time. So I'll go obvious Justin Tucker.
Justin Tucker. Number 2 on the list with 118. All right, who else you got?
How about Daniel? Don't call me Dylan Carlson.
Boy, he's just going down the line. Daniel Carlson. Number 3 with 117. Wow. All right, who else you got?
Give me Greg the Leg Zerloin.
Greg Zerloin.
I thought he'd be up there. He had some big games.
You got 1, 2, and 3, so you're missing 4 and 5 and 2 strikes left.
How about Brett Maher?
No.
Man, that was my guess.
All right. How about a cool young ho, Young Wei Koo?
Ooh, young ho cool. Young Shoe, I've messed that all up. He's number 5. It's actually tied with one other kicker with 116 points. So you're missing 1 guy remaining and 1 strike remaining.
I don't know who this is. Who has Linda been raving about? Graham Gano.
Graham Gano. No Ganoos like Graham Gano. There's number 4 on this list remaining. Jordan, can you survive and tell me who this kicker is?
Jason Myers.
Jason Myers. Is this for real? I was trying to stick it to Jordan with that one. So good job, Jordan, for bailing it out. It's 2-2. You're going into round 5. This is going to settle it all up. Here we go. Top 5 answers on the board. I am going back into last week, week 13. I'm going to the tight end position, and I'm looking for yards, top 5 answers, and I'm looking for yards in the red zone from the tight end position.
JB.
JB, who you got?
Greg Dulcich.
Greg Dulcich. Not on the list.
So last week was stupid for tight ends. So I don't think it's the normal guys. Gronk. Or not Gronk, Kelsey. Sorry. My bad.
Gronk. Who were you trying to say?
Kelsey. Travis Kelsey.
Travis Kelsey.
Wait, did you just say I don't think it's the normal guys and then say Travis Kelce?
Did he like Kelce?
I did say that because I can't think of who the hell was on that list. And frankly, I really want you to win this category because I don't want to try to name these 5. Well, I have a better chance of naming one. So
I'm you know what? And I'm kind of glad that you reminded me what a weird week it was because Evan Engram probably was the top yards in the red zone. So I'm going Evan Engram.
Evan Engram. He was number 2 on this list. Evan Engram with 10 yards in the red zone last week. All right, you got control, JB, to finish it out. Who you got?
What other weirdo scored touchdowns? Michael Pruitt scored a touchdown. Let me try Michael Pruitt.
Michael Pruitt. Correct. He is number 5 on this list with 7 yards last week. So you got number 2 and
7 yards is on this list.
Oh man!
All right,
Wow.
so he was number 5, and you have number 2. All right, here you go. What else you got?
I think Tyler Higbee caught a pass or 2 last week.
Tyler Higbee. He's number 4 on this list with 9 yards in the red zone last week. All right, so you're missing number 1 and number 3.
Noah Fant.
Noah Fant.
No.
Not on this list, sir.
It must have been a short touchdown. Oh, hold on. There was a random, like legit random ass dude that we had to look him up. Hayward? Was his name Hayward? The dude on Pittsburgh?
Connor Hayward. Number 1 on this list with 17 yards in the red zone. So you're just missing number 3.
On his one catch.
You're missing number 3 on this list, and you got 2 strikes, or only 1 strike.
Was it Daniel Bellinger?
Daniel Bellinger. All right, last strike and last answer remaining.
Pooper Hooper.
Austin Hooper. JB bringing the big boy pants tonight. Congratulations, friend. You are tonight's winner. And Jordan, well, you not usually get these, but you know what you get for this round.
Dumbass. Thank these. They call me dumbass. Stupid.
So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
JB came prepared tonight with the sign and everything. Wow, congratulations. Great game and great participation, guys, at the end in the comment section. You guys were on point as well. All right, listen, I've been sitting here a little while. I got to stretch. You know what else I got to do? I got to flex a little bit, kind of flex out. Let's listen to our boy from Fourth and Flex, Bandy. Let's listen to his flex starts of the week while we're bringing our co-host back in.
I've been working out.
That's right. I know y'all saw Tom Brady in all of his greatness on Monday Night Football, giving it to the Saints. On the way up now. Look, guys, don't forget to enjoy that while you got it, man, because this is once-in-a-lifetime stuff that we are seeing at a TB12, 45 years old, killing it. But we are here for a reason, and that reason is Bandy's Flex Starts of the Week. Look, your boy took a couple hits last week. It was a rough week, but that's all right. I'm going to rejuvenate your fantasy lineup this week. Starting off with my first guy, I've got DJ Chark. Coming off of that ankle injury, he's finally starting to look like himself again, and you're going to want him in your lineups. He's the clear number 2 on that team, and the Red Hot Lions are giving it to him, boys. Moving on to my next guy, I've got Donovan Peoples-Jones. Look, DPJ has been super consistent, at least for a wide receiver 3 in your flex spot. DPJ will get you the points that you need, get you on your way to the fantasy playoffs. Moving on to the next guy, I've got Deonta Foreman. Look, he said he's 95% sure he is playing in that game, and he is 95% sure going to score you the points that you need, baby. Throw Deonta Foreman. He's a must start this week if he plays. Guys, don't forget to check out the Fourth and Flex Fantasy Football Podcast right here on YouTube.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Gotta love Bandy and the Fourth and Flex. Make sure you guys go check him out. Hit that subscribe button for our boy over there. Bandy, appreciate you. All right, let's get on to the breakdown. Nick, we'll start with you. How about this Texans at Cowboys matchup? The Texans are number 2 against fantasy QBs. They are dead last against running backs, number 3 against receivers, and 16th versus tight ends. Cowboys are number 4 against QBs, 5th versus running backs, 16th versus receivers, and 5th versus tight ends. Give me some guys you like and don't like.
Okay, so let's start with the Dallas Cowgirls. I'm going to start with Tony Pollard. You're definitely going to start him because his last 3, he got a 30.9, a 6.1, and a 22.6. He's going to run roughshod over the Texans. His tag team partner over there, Zeke, in his last 3, he also 16.7, 15.5, 15.1. He's going to run roughshod over the Texans' run defense. And the other guy on Dallas you're going to start is Dalton Schultz. Now, again, bottom of the barrel position. Dalton Schultz. You're going to start Dalton Schultz because there ain't nobody left. You got 2.2, a 15.1, and a 3.3. Those are the only 3 guys that I can actually say I can start with confidence in Dallas because you don't need to start Dak because there's no need for a quarterback against Houston. If they go up 14 points in the first quarter, the game's over. He's not gonna pass. Don't count on CeeDee Lamb about giving you a big game because Houston's actually pretty good against the pass. They have good corners, but not to mention they don't really need to defend the pass because quarterbacks don't pass against them. So it's going to be a run game, clock control game on the far as Dallas' side. And as far as Houston's side, I got 3 words of advice. If you're thinking about starting any Texans, stop, no, and don't.
Yeah, not what you want to do to get in for the fantasy playoffs. Bandy, want to give a shout out to JB for the SAP jersey in the background. Big Bucks fan indeed, so appreciate you as well. And Golston as well. He likes it. He loves it. In fact, he loves it. All right, let's get on to, we'll start with you, JB, on this one. How about let's talk about this Chiefs versus Broncos matchup. The Chiefs are 27th against fantasy QBs, 23rd against running backs. They are 29th against receivers, and 11th versus tight ends, oddly enough. The Broncos, 3rd versus QBs, 8th versus running backs. They are number 2 in the league against receivers, and 19th versus tight ends. What say you guys you like and don't like?
The Chiefs could be 50th against quarterbacks, and I'm still not starting Russell Wilson. It's not happening. But I will say that Mahomes and Kelsey are always in play, but it's not the best matchup for them. Broncos secondary is good. Chiefs should be playing from ahead, so there probably won't be a lot of volume. I mean, look, if you're playing DFS, you're not going to pay up for these guys, but if you're playing season long, you're putting them in your lineup. I don't expect much from Juju this week. Again, good secondary going up against him. MVS does have a size advantage though against those corners, so it could put him in play there as kind of a flex play. Chiefs could be angry coming off a loss and just look to get right here and light up the scoreboard. Or they could just go up by a bunch and see a lot of Isaiah Pacheco playing from ahead. So I will start Pacheco in this matchup. I think, if that secondary is tough to throw against, I'll try to run against him with Pacheco, especially if I'm playing with a lead. Broncos suck. Russ sucks. Sutton's out. Judy's banged up. Backfield's a bunch of dusty dudes. I mean, it's Greg Dulcich, and that's it for me. I mean, he's been the lone bright spot on that offense. He had 8 targets and 85 yards last week. So, I mean, he's the lone wolf in that offense that I'd even touch this week.
Dusty dudes heard. All right, let's go on to Jordan. Let's talk about the Jags versus the Titans. The Jags, they are 25th versus fantasy QBs, 24th against running backs, 24th against receivers, 20th versus tight ends. Titans are 31st against fantasy QBs, 9th against running backs, 32nd dead last against receivers, and 21st versus the tight end. What say you guys you like and don't like?
This is a really ugly game that I really want no part of fantasy-wise. I think the Titans are going to be pissed off, and I think they're going to just beat Jacksonville all over the damn field this weekend. On the Jag side, I'm starting ETN. I don't feel great about it. Titans have a really good rush D, but I doubt you have a better option to where you can bench that guy with confidence. Christian Kirk is a must start every week for me. Outside of that, I don't want Zay Jones and his hands anywhere near my roster. If you're desperate for a tight end stream, go with Evan Ingram. On the other side of the ball, it's going to be a whole lot of Derrick Henry running the damn ball all day. He absolutely owns the AFC South as a whole. Start Henry, fade everybody else.
So I have a question for you, Justin. Can I ask you a question? Because I just actually put ETN on my bench in one league, and it's because I have Swift and I have Foreman ahead of him, and I have Pacheco ahead of him, and I just like the matchup better for the three of them. Would you start him over any of those three guys?
Me personally, I am probably starting him over Pacheco. But I'm thinking long and hard about it for sure.
It's close.
Yeah, it's definitely close, especially this week for sure with the matchup. So yeah, listen, the playoffs are they're either on the line or you're in them. So this is when you got to make the smart smart moves. No risk it, no biscuit, as they say for sure. All right, let's go to Justin. The Eagles versus the Giants. The Eagles, they're number 1 against fantasy QBs, 18th versus running backs, 6th versus receivers, 9th versus tight ends. Giants 9th versus QBs, 15th versus running backs, 10th versus receivers, and 25th versus tight ends. What's some guys you like and don't like?
I mean, the three certainties: death, taxes, and Jalen Hurts is a QB1 at this point. He's only had 2 performances outside of 20 points. Dude's just magnificent. I mean, he's been just absolutely running up the score, whether it's rushing or passing. Miles Sanders is one guy that I'm kind of like ringing the bell on. I'm like, this is kind of a dice roll every single week. If he gets the red zone touches, he's good. But that's if Jalen Hurts wants to allow him to do that. If this ends up being a defensive game where it's 14-17 down the stretch, we've seen Jalen Hurts is just going to take it himself. He's not going to rely on anybody else. So you're not going to sit him, but, just maybe temper expectations. Brown and Smith, after last week, I'm playing them both with no problem, no hesitation whatsoever. I don't even know who the tight end's name is. So, yeah, we're just going to leave it at that.
Jared Stoll.
That's what I leave in my bathroom in the mornings.
No, that's stool, not stole. I don't know what they speak of over in Arkansas, but we say that's stool.
Around these parts.
Dadgum, Bubba.
Yeah.
Dadgummit.
There you go. All right. Nick done stole my segment from me. I'm going to go with
take it back.
Daniel Jones. I want nothing to do with him. Even though he's got 19 points in the last 4 games, the Eagles are just shutting down top tier quarterbacks. Barkley. I mean, who's not starting Barkley? Slayton's an interesting one. 4 of his last 6 performances, top 24. He's averaging 7 targets in games with 80% snap share, which is obviously now because he's the top guy. And he's got an 8 out of 13.8, which means he's making all the big plays. And then Bellinger is the last resort, but 96% snaps last week means that he's good to go. And he caught all 5 of his targets. One of them was a red zone target. So, he could end up falling into the touchdown or the end zone.
All right. Well, we got 4 games remaining before we get to them. Let's talk about some homer picks. So mine is I think a pretty easy one. I'm going Jeff Wilson Jr. The bottom line is, like, everyone's all back on Raheem Mostert, but, listen, that's what the Dolphins were doing in the beginning of the season. Remember when Chase Edmonds was there, it was Raheem Mostert 1 week, and then it was Chase Edmonds, and then Raheem Mostert kind of took things over. Jeff Wilson was playing very well. I think it was just matchup based, and I like him very much this week against a Chargers D that can't stop a cold against the running back. So that's my homer pick, Jeff Wilson Jr. Justin, who's your homer pick of the week?
So my homer pick of the week is going to be Brandon Ayuk, the aforementioned Brandon Ayuk. This guy has just been tearing it up all season long. Brock Purdy, he seems competent enough to get the ball to him. And let's ride, man. At this point, let's roll with it, see what happens. And I think Brandon Ayuk's a big part of this picture going into the playoffs.
All right,
that is
Jordan.
my dope pick of the week.
All right. It sounds like dope. All right. What say you, Jordan? Who's your dope homer pick of the week?
Well, every time I hear Flanders talk about the Cowboys, it makes me want to say dope. But with that being said, I'm starting pretty much everybody, but my homer pick of the week is that defense, which is going to be all over Houston on Sunday.
Yeah, look what the Browns did last week. Boy, look how opportunistic that Cowboys defense is.
And the
But they got
Cowboys
Davis Mills back, right? That's got to do something.
Watch out now. Could be some
They
excitement.
might snap his long ass neck in half. I'm just saying.
All right. JB Barry, who's your dope homer pick of the week?
So my dope homer pick of the week is going to be Cade Otton. I think he's worth a shot. We've been talking about the tight end position being desolate. He had 10 targets and a touchdown last week. San Fran's got a really good pass rush, so Brady's going to have to get the ball out quickly on short and intermediate routes. And, I mean, if you look at last week, Otton had an 83.6 route percentage, and he had a 19% target share. So Cade Otton's going to be my dope pick of the week.
Love it. All right, Nick, let's go to you. Dope. Come on, Flanders. What's your homer pick of the week?
Oh, my dope pick of the week is going to be that Eagles defense. I'm going to steal a page from Jordan. I'm telling you what. When the Eagles win this week, it's going to put a nail in the coffin. Just put the flag up. NFC East division champs, home road to the playoffs. You know, ESPN, the most diatribe station out there, said that the Eagles were the 4th ranked team in the NFC to go in the playoffs, and they said that Dallas has got a better shot to win the Super Bowl.
It's true.
My ass, they haven't won this. They have not won a playoff. They've won one playoff game in 22 years. Talk to me when you're damn relevant. Go away.
That's his dope. What a speech of the week.
That's my rant of the week.
Let's go. Justin, let's finish the breakdowns. Panthers versus Seahawks. Panthers, they're 14th versus QBs, 21st versus running backs, 21st versus receivers, 10th versus tight ends. Seahawks, 20th versus QBs, 30th versus running backs, 7th versus receivers, and they are 31st versus tight ends. Give me these guys you like and don't like.
So for the Panthers, I'll say I like whoever suits up at the running back position. Like you were saying, the Seahawks are pretty much the 3rd worst team against the running back. They average 22.8 to the position. Whoever suits up has got a good chance to play well. DJ Moore seemed to click with Sam Darnold. 6 targets, 4 catches, a touchdown. You know, he's the best player on that team overall. So you got to wheel him out and, hope that Sam Darnold is competent again. I am not starting Sam Darnold, though, because even if he is competent, he has proven that he is not fantasy competent. So we will not be pushing that one this week. Geno. Hey, Geno. Yeah, Geno Smith. 4 straight top 12 performances. performances. This man is so efficient. He has 8 games of 70% completion, only 6 interceptions. Yeah, you're going to start him all day long. The Homer Tony Jones thing, I don't care either way. I'm not playing either one of them. Metcalf and Lockett, start them both. And then Noah Fant, my start of the week. I think he's going to have a good game this week against the Panthers. He had a good game last week, got into the red zone, got a touchdown. Obviously, it wasn't enough to make the Fantasy Feud list, but I still think he's pretty good. Talented. I think he's good to go this week.
Lack of a running game even bolsters your Geno Smith argument even more this week. So definitely a great play for sure. All right, let's go to JB for this next one, and one that Justin might be chomping at the bit to get to. The Bucks at the 49ers. The Bucks, fantasy-wise, they are 12th versus QBs, 3rd versus running backs, 14th versus tight ends, 14th versus receivers, and 29th versus tight ends. 49ers, 5th versus QBs, number 1 against running backs. Surprisingly, 23rd versus tight ends, receivers. There was a little bit of Tyreek Hill due to you. And then the tight ends, they are 3rd versus tight ends. What say you guys you like and don't like?
So I'll start on the Bucs side, and that offense is just really not clicking. I mean, they've only had 17 points in each of the last 2 weeks. Then they had 21 against Seattle, 16 against the Rams before that. And if you go back even further, they had a 3-game losing streak where they scored 22, 3, and 18. So, I mean, Brady looks off, and he's going to face a lot of pressure this week. That front four is going to eat up this banged-up offensive line. So it's going to be a tough game for the Bucs offense. I do love Chris Godwin, and so does Tom Brady. I mean, he's got 13 targets in each of the last 2 weeks. He's got double-digit targets in 6 of the last 7 games. So Chris Godwin is a dog. I mean, that's my guy right there, too. I think Mike Evans is banged up. I think that, he always plays banged up, but I think something's going on. I mean, that last drive last week, he wasn't even on the field until the last play where they kind of used him as a decoy, just getting out of the way. So I think there's more there that they're not telling us. So I wouldn't trust him in this matchup. He is touchdown dependent. He hasn't seen the volume. He could score a touchdown, but I'll start him in season long if I have to. I probably don't have better options. Julio Jones has been playing in big snaps, like big plays, but I think this week we're going to see more 2 and 3 tight end sets even to try to help against that defensive line. So I don't think we're going to see enough snap share for Julio to kind of make an impact. That backfield's a little bit of a mess, but I think Rachaad White is better than Fournette. You mentioned how good the 49ers are against the run, so I don't feel confident in either of these guys, especially the split. I mean, it was a 60-40 split, and Fournette had the 60 of that, and Fournette looked dusty. I mean, he looked like he was having trouble running. So, I mean, I think from the eye test, White looks better, and I think that it should shift the other way. But, I mean, it's tough in this matchup, so if you want to play him as a flex, fine. On the other side, the 49ers are clicking. They got 5 straight wins. Yes, they lost Jimmy, but like you said before, Brock Purdy looked good enough to get it done. So I could start Purdy as a super flex if I have to. Bucs secondary is not great. They're banged up. So I'm not going to get cute in a 1 QB league, but I could start him in a super flex because he's getting the ball out quick and he's got playmakers. If you get the ball in their hand, they can take it to the house. So one of those guys is CMC. CMC is a horse. People still talk about the Bucs run D being great, but it's not elite. So CMC is what he is, and he can run and he can catch passes. So I like him. I like Debo. Debo's healthy again. One of those guys, you put the ball in his hands on a short route, he could take it to the house. And Brandon Ayuk, like you said, he's got that flex appeal against the banged-up Carlton Davis and the beatable Jermaine Dean. So I do like the weapons there. Even George Kittle. I like George Kittle because the Bucs linebackers aren't great in coverage. So get Kittle matched up on Devin White, and that's an advantage to Kittle. So I do like your weapons there this week, Justin.
And now if you watch Fantasy Feud, Brandon Ayuk is money in the red zone too. Nick, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I don't know if you didn't cover it this morning, earlier at the start of the show with the injury report, but Fournette has now popped up on the injury list with an injured foot.
Yep.
So he might not even go this week.
Yep.
Yeah, so again, I mean, if that's the case, it could be a decent day, at least for White, at least because of volume alone. So, we'll see. Make sure we monitor that. Make sure you wake up with TSS on Sunday for sure. All right, let's go to Jordan for this next one. And, oh, man, I can't wait to talk about this. America's team, the Miami Dolphins, they're going to L.A. to play the Chargers. The Dolphins 29th against fantasy QBs, 17th against running backs, 15th against receivers, 30th versus tight ends. Chargers 22nd against QBs, 29th against running backs, 12th versus receivers, and 22nd versus tight ends. Guys you like and don't like.
So you already kind of stole my thunder on this. I'm starting anybody in the backfield for the Miami Dolphins. I think it could be a good day for both Wilson and Mostert. Chargers can't stop the run for anything. You're obviously starting Tyreek Hill, not telling you anything special there. Tua's an absolute must start. Strong rebound week from him. He saw the judge this week. He's going to get his nose clean. He's acting right this week. Dial up Tua with confidence. If Waddle plays, I'm starting him. If Waddle doesn't play, I'm finding Trent Sherfield and I'm putting him in my lineups. Feel pretty decent about streaming Gesicki this week as well. On the other side, Austin Eckler's coming off a pretty poor performance, but still must start. You start Keenan Allen, 14 targets last week. If Mike Williams plays, I am not starting Mike Williams. If Mike Williams does not play, I am absolutely starting Josh Palmer, and I am streaming Gerald Everett, as a mid-tier tight end this week.
I think Gerald Everett actually would be a good play. Miami is notoriously bad against tight ends, I think, but, pretty much I think your advice is solid. Let's just start everybody. This is going to be a fantasy bonanza, I think, on both sides of the football. So it should be a fun one, at least for the Sunday night game. All right, let's move to Monday night, Nick. Let's go to the Pats at the Cardinals. Patriots 16th versus QBs, number 2 against running backs, 8th versus receivers, 23rd versus tight ends. The Cardinals 30th versus QBs, 20th versus running backs, 17th versus receivers, and they are dead last against tight ends. What say you guys you like and don't like?
All right, you set it up for me. So you're definitely going to be playing Mac Jones. Surprisingly, I'm saying that. You're definitely going to play Mac Jones because, they are 30th against the tight end. He scored a 10, a 23, and a 12 in his last 3 games. Not great numbers. Anybody else, you would sit him down. But against Arizona, who thinks defense is optional, you're going to start him against Arizona. Ramondre, you said that they're 20th. He's a flex. I mean, he's got 8.2, 11.2, and a 7.8. Nothing spectacular, and those are all PPR numbers. Start him, flex him. And Hunter Henry, as bad as he's been, he's averaged a 5.2 over the last 3 games. When you're going up against a team that's 30th against the tight end, 32nd against the tight end, you're playing them. I don't care if you're scoring a 1 the last 3 weeks, you're playing them. As far as Arizona, you're starting Kyler Murray, not going over his stats. You're starting James Conner. I mean, he scored an 11, a 20, and 18 the last 3 games. Phenomenal. D-Hop, you're going to start. Now, everyone says, what about Marquise Brown? Well, Marquise Brown, he's a flex. I mean, he's got a big name. Hasn't had the connection that everyone thought he was going to have with the addition with Kyler Murray. First 3 games, he was good, kind of disappeared, got injured. Then he had a 4.6 off the injury. He's a flexing to me. He's flexing. I don't think he's that much worthy of a start. You got a Monday night to figure it out, but I'd flex him.
All right. Well, he says flex Marquise, your brother. All right. Listen, guys, it's Friday night SmackDown. Let's finish the show off with some energy and give some ultimate DFS lineups. All right, let's start with our guests first. Let's go, JB Harry. It's time for your ultimate DFS lineup. Who you got?
So I'm starting with Jared Goff, and this is who I was talking about before, because this is going to be a high-scoring game. It's the highest total on the slate. It's going to be back and forth, and he gets a banged-up secondary. He had 580 passing yards and 4 touchdowns the last 2 games. He's heating up, so I'm going Goff. I'm going Joe Mixon. He's well-rested versus Cleveland, who ranks 29th in the league against opposing running backs. They've allowed 16 rushing touchdowns. I'm going James Cook as my value play. He's getting receiving work, and he's splitting those carries, so he's allowing me to save some money to pay up for guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I'm pairing with Jared Goff. He gets the targets. He's got the matchup. He's got Chandon Sullivan in the slot, who allows a 78% catch rate. I'm also paying up for T. Higgins. That offense is red hot, and he should put up plenty of points. They should double Jamar Chase and leave Higgins one-on-one with Ward, who's good, but he's allowing 15.4 yards per catch. And I'm going Michael Gallup because I love that red zone, and he's tied for second in the league in red zone catches the last 4 weeks with 100% reception percentage. Talked about TJ Hawkinson before. He's my tight end. It's a revenge game. 6 for 10. He gets like 6 or 10 targets every week. Detroit ranks 28th against opposing tight ends. I love Zeke as my flex. He's quietly putting up the points, over 15 DraftKings points in the last 15 games. He's the goal line back, whether you like Pollard or not, and he gives you some differentiation because Pollard and Lamb are hyped up, so people might be lower owned on Zeke. And I'm going with the Carolina defense because if I'm paying down on defense, I'm paying all the way down, and I'm going to go to somebody who just going to get me some points. So, they're the cheapest team to give me plus points. They averaged 10 points over the last 3 games. With a banged-up running back group, Seattle can be slowed down a little bit. So 6 to 10 points out of them, I'm happy. It allows me to pay up elsewhere.
Yeah, that was my bad. Every week I always miss something. And this week, for some reason, on every one of our defenses, I forgot to put how much money. I mean, nothing was over 3,900, I think. So either way, my bad once again. I got to fire those guys in the truck. All right, Jordan, let's bring up your ultimate DFS lineup. Who you got?
Oh, yeah. So we're going to start off with Kirk Cousins over Jared Goff this week. And I'm going to skip all the rest of these guys and just talk about what my boy JB just talked about. Give me TJ Hawkinson in the stack with Cousins. Revenge narrative. He's getting the end zone guaranteed. I'm going Tony Pollard. I'm going James Cook at the running back positions. I think they're both pretty safe plays. And then I paid up a little bit on wide receiver to do an ultimate stack with Justin Jefferson in the mix. Brought on Garrett Wilson, who's been money. And then some guy named Chris Moore, who apparently is the wide receiver 1 in Houston this week. Give me DeAndre Swift in the flex, and then give me Nick Bosa in that San Francisco 49ers defensive line against that non-existent Tampa Bay offensive line.
Oh, indeed. I know Justin likes the sound of that. All right, speaking of Justin, what's your ultimate DFS lineup?
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Mean Gene. You better eat your vitamins, you better say your prayers, and you better play these guys if you want to win your ultimate DFS lineups. That's right, I got Kirk Cousins going against the Lions. Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, either way, it's going to be a fantasy bonanza game. It's going to be points, and that's what we like. You're getting him at $6,000. He's a lot lower than going after a Patrick Mahomes in a game that, like JB said, might end up being like something where it's a blowout and they got the backup, whoever the hell that is, coming in the third quarter. Tony Pollard and DeAndre Swift. Now, I love this because Tony Pollard is 6,700. I can spend up on him. And how did they put DeAndre Swift at 5,800 after he had 17 points last week? He was, let me give you perspective. He's $100 lower than when he was last week in a better matchup. Go out there, get yourself some DeAndre Swift all day long. He took back control of that backfield. Then let's go Christian Kirk. I think that Christian Kirk is going to be the benefactor of anybody starting at quarterback for the Jaguars. This is going to be a team that's going to be playing from behind. And the best friend of a backup quarterback is a tight end or a slot receiver. And the best friend of Trevor Lawrence is also Christian Kirk as well. So Christian Kirk's going to eat regardless. Jameson Williams, this is my lawn dart. This is my shot in the dark over here. I think Jameson Williams shows up this week. And I think, after 2 weeks of practices, this guy's been getting tons of praise for his speed. I think he can break one off and get you some good DFS points this week. And 4,400, you just cannot beat that. If he puts you 28 points up there, you're probably going in there for the millionaire. Garrett Wilson, so the matchup, everybody talks about the matchup. He put up 20 points on Buffalo already this season. What's to say he can't do that again? I know Buffalo's been beat up in the secondary. They just got Trey White back. But guess what? Garrett Wilson is looking more and more like he could be a generational talent at wide receiver. Each game we see him. He is good, and he is better now that he's not playing with Zach Wilson. At Travis Kelce, this is really why I saved up my money, because I think this is Travis Kelce's revenge game against fantasy. Everybody's been talking shit for the past 2 weeks. He's gotten 16 points. That's like usual week for him. That's low barrier for him on a normal week. I think Travis Kelce goes off this week, gives us one of those vintage 30-point Travis Kelce weeks, maybe 3 touchdowns and 25 yards, like he's very much accustomed to. I also like James Cook. Buffalo's really starting to turn up the heat with him. This could be a changing of the guard with Devin Singletary, maybe reverting back to his old role as the change of pace back, and James Cook maybe channeling more Dalvin Cook this week against the New York Jets. And then finally, I agree with JB. Go with the low guy on the totem pole. It was 2,200 to get the Panthers this week, and they're going against Seattle. The Panthers have pulled out bigger miracles this year. They've had 20-point performances against both the Broncos and the Bucs. I think they could definitely pull off something, in the range of 10 points against Seattle.
You remember the time Justin told us that Geno Smith was going to go off and have a great game, and then he told us how the Panthers D was a good start? All right, Nick, what's your ultimate DFS lineup?
All right, so I guess the running theme of the week is pay for Kirk Cousins, because I did and everybody else did. 6,100. I went heavy on the Vikings this week, not intentional. I realized that after I sent it to you. So I went Dalvin Cook at 7,300, totally, and Tony Pollard. I already told you earlier in the show, Tony Pollard's going to run rough shot over the Texans. I paid up big time for Justin Jefferson at $9,000. I took Christian Kirk this week. He's got a great matchup against the lowly and porous Tennessee pass defense, along with DJ Chark. I got him at 4,300. I took Hunter Henry at 3,200 because if this is a game that he's going to play well and get you some points, this is it. He's only had one top 10 this whole week. This might be number 2. And I took Sky Moore, threw a dart in the dark. Juju's not playing well. He might be used sparingly. You don't know who's going to get the ball in KC except if your name is Travis Kelce. Sky Moore might have a good game this week. And then I took the other guys. I took Seattle because they've been playing well the past couple weeks, and they're playing against Carolina, who's, probably now kicking themselves that they let number 6 go. So I got them for $3,600.
All right, let's go to my ultimate DFS lineup. And I think the running theme here is we like both QBs in this Vikings-Lions matchup. So we're both, I think we're all in on that. I think we see a lot of similarities. Tony Pollard obviously has come up a lot for the obvious reasons with the matchup. Joe Mixon, another good matchup against Cleveland, who's 31st against fantasy running back, so it's pretty easy to say there. Keenan Allen, I hate to say, against America's team, who's been giving it up a little bit to receivers, so you gotta put him in there. Christian Kirk, you guys have already talked about him enough. George Pickens has a good matchup this week with Deontay Johnson. I just mentioned a little bit hobbled. He could be the lone man standing in this offense with a decent matchup. The Ravens 26 against fantasy receivers, so might be a decent play for you. Jeff Wilson Jr., again, I talked about it earlier. I like these running backs in this matchup for them. I went with Nick on the same Hunter Henry. Cardinals are historically bad against fantasy tight ends, so that to me is an easy play. And unlike you clowns, I had a little bit of money, so I spent a little bit of money on a good defense. I had the Cowboys defense. That's the great D. That's number 1 D this week to play. So that's what I like this week. All right, so let's go on to JB. We're finishing things up. JB, my friend, we appreciate you coming in tonight, hanging out. It's TGIF. Let everyone know where they can follow, subscribe, and get all of your great stuff, my friend.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me. You can follow me right here on Twitter at FantasyCoachJB. You can find my written work, my DFS Flash article every week over on Razzball. And you can find our podcast, the Fantasy Besties Show, on the Razzball YouTube channel every Monday night. We start about 7:15 going into the game. It's a great group of people. It's me, Andrew Cooper, Kevin Tompkins, Lindellians, and Jordan Loop. So it's a bunch of great fantasy minds that love just talking fantasy football. So check me out. Appreciate it, guys. And thank you for having me. I hope we could do it again. It's been great.
Yeah, no, absolutely been a great guest. We'll definitely have you back in. We appreciate you being in. Jordan, let everyone know where they can follow, subscribe, get all your great content, my friend.
So I've been on here enough. They all know where to find me. I would just like to point out that Mr. Flanders said Mac Jones was a must start and do not start Dak Prescott. And that's the same man that is saying Philadelphia is going to win the East. Ain't happening. I'm out.
Hey, listen, let's write that down so we can talk about that next week.
Take those receipts. Take them. Take those receipts.
Let's take the receipts down. Speaking of receipts, get with us on Sunday. We have our building. We got Mikey Betts in the building to get you paid. Jay the Plug will be there as well to plug you in this week. And of course, Fantasy Jesus. How can you not miss our great day Sunday lineup? Come wake up with us. Hit the subscribe button. We appreciate you all, and we are out.
Fuck you guys.
We're on a mission.
Right. That's because you have Mike.
We're on a mission. We're on a mission, guys.
Put on your life vest and stop anchor. Put on your life vest and stop anchor. Put on your life vest and stop anchor. TSS Fantasy. It's like put on your life vest and stop anchor.
We're on a mission, guys.
Yeah, that's what it is.